I am thrilled to have you guys here this week to talk about episode 4 of Aquatope on the White Sand, but before I get into that, I had to take care of some business first. So give me about the next 50 seconds or so, and if you don't want to listen to this, then go ahead and use the chapters in the description to skip to the actual review. First of all, thank you guys so incredibly much for all the amazing support on my anime content. It's not going anywhere, it's here to stay, and is going to become my main primary source of content, and let me talk about that a little bit more. I know I founded the channel on Call of Duty and that's not going anywhere, but I do need to put it on a hiatus for a little bit of time. I will bring it back eventually, but not until we hit that 200 subscriber mark. Overall, anime content is doing better for my channel. Now, when that comes to things like Pokémon, that's not going anywhere, but it's also going to be put on that second channel as well. So 200 subscribers there. I will also be setting up a Patreon at 200 as well. Finally, Anime Expo is returning to in-person live conventions for 2022 next year. That will be sometime in early July, I'm sure. But if we hit 1,000 subscribers on the channel before that happens, I will cosplay as Inori Yuzuriha at Anime Expo 2022. Yes, that means the entire cosplay. I'll have the whole thing recorded and uploaded as a compilation of the best moments while I was there and the best reactions. 1,000 subs by Anime Expo 2022 and it will happen, I promise. But that means that you guys have to absolutely destroy the subscribe button and share my channel around. Okay, enough of that. Let's get on with my episode 4 review of Aquatope on the White Sand. Episode 4 has honestly been my favorite episode so far. Fuuka has clearly shown growth, and so has Kukuru. The unpredictable nature of Fuuka, however, definitely keeps me guessing. I knew Kukuru was putting a lot of work on Fuuka because Kukuru loves the aquarium, but Fuuka herself admitted she was having fun, and that was obvious. Fun does not have to be a complex thing. There's a lot to break down, but I'll try to keep things moving right along. There's been a little surge in viewership for episode 3's review compared to episode 2, which has not done quite so well, so hopefully those of you who are turning out for these weekly episodes are enjoying them. Alright, so moving right on along. Honestly, I'm loving the slow starts. It's helping build a world that is Gama Gama and Okinawa. The opening scenes of this episode really give off a sense of calm. It's early morning and everything is pretty still except for the plants and the morning breeze. You get the sense that the world that revolves around Okinawa is really still pretty much asleep. Fuuka gets up before Kukuru though, which I found interesting, although it does not seem like nervous energy or anything like that. The introduction of the touch pulls I thought was also a really good thing for Fuuka. She now has a front and center role to play, and how she takes to being the center of attention is noteworthy. Likewise, being introduced to Umi-Yan is also noteworthy since his character in this episode ends up being very important during a certain scene. Finally, this was the first episode we had an after-credits scene, and there being a sole person waiting at the doors to the aquarium could really only mean trouble, especially after Fuuka told her mother where she was in the last episode. Needless to say, that scowl was terrifying. Before I dive into character specifics though, some characters will overlap with others when I'm talking about them. Now let's expand on all of this. Like I mentioned earlier, Fuuka has definitely grown since her initial arrival in Okinawa. She's being relied upon to play a role in this summer's Touch Pulls event. Fuuka, still being a little fresh, is actually surprised Kukuru wants her to help out. Since they were short on staff the last time, it's all the more important that things go off without a hitch this time, but Fuuka happily accepts her new role. Her surprise indicates that she was unsure about her work or role at Gama Gama, but having Kukuru say that she wants everyone's help, even Fuuka's, reassures her that her work is not in vain. Moving on, when Fuuka gets left behind with Kai in the restaurant, this cute little moment between the two of them flowers up out of nowhere. It's a little awkward at first, so Kai turns on the TV, which is tuned in to a broadcast of Fuuka's former idol group. That gets pretty awkward in of itself. Kai then suggests the weather for the next day and quickly changes the channel. It was definitely a cute little moment, but it's too early to tell whether or not it might turn into something more later on down the road or not. But again, it was definitely cute, albeit a little awkward. It's pretty obvious Fuuka is a pretty major deal around Gama Gama. Everyone knows her, including a group of teens that recognize her during the touch pulls. She has definitely not come to terms with her departure from her former idol group and running away from home yet, but more so her former idol group. The day before they open for the touch pulls, a small group of little old ladies walks into the aquarium after hearing about the new girl, Fuuka. She receives quite a bit of flattery, but it just goes to show everyone loves her and supports her there. As for Kukuru, she's doing a fine job as summer director, and her being pretty much the same age as Fuuka gives her confidence in her duties, but I also think it helps Fuuka feel a little more comfortable as well. Early on, she mentions the touch pulls and how she's excited to prepare for them for the next day. Her gramps tells her he'll be out of town, and this time she seems to get that. She has to perform her duties to the best of her ability and not rely on other people. At least not rely on them to do her job for her. However, if she does need help, she says she will call him. This is an infinitely better move than having the doctor who is 9 months pregnant come out and try to help. Although there is one scene in relation to this that keeps popping up again and again. When Kukuru was looking at the paternity booklets, we see that her name is on one of them, but I'm not entirely sure why. Clearly, she's fascinated by the idea of being a mother and raising a child, but she is quite young to be ready to fulfill that role to the extent that she would need to. However, her relationship with Fuuka is greatly improving, and when I said keep an eye on these two, I meant it. They've become incredibly close. When Fuuka becomes overwhelmed during the touch pulls, Kukuru takes her to the back room to make sure she's alright and apologizes if she had forced Fuuka to be an attendant for the day. Thankfully, that's not the issue, and Fuuka even admits that she's having fun. Furthermore, Kukuru admits she was a little too focused on her work and that she wasn't paying close enough attention to Fuuka's feelings. There's definitely more than just a little spark between these two, and it has become apparent there's more of a growing passion. The idea of touching versus hearing to learn about something is pretty solidly rooted in practice. So when Fuuka and Kukuru share a touch, a hand on the cheek, the intimacy really begins to take root. And then finally, we have Umi-Yan. Umi-Yan is a pretty nice guy, but his idol knowledge is apparently pretty off the charts. Even the female staff at Gama Gama are not too fond of getting an earful about idols every time Umi is around. He's a great guy and has a lot of compassion for the animals and the staff at Gama Gama. He's also really good with kids, which is really great. There were also some great moments in there when he covers for Fuuka and Kukuru after Fuuka gets overwhelmed. It'll be good for Fuuka to have another float to keep her going, which will also lessen the burden on Kukuru. From the very beginning, I knew Fuuka and Kukuru were bound for a wonderful relationship of some sort, whether it be friendship or something more. I'd like nothing more than to see a natural, non-forced relationship between the two of them grow and become reality. Before the ending and credits, Kukuru throws herself on Fuuka in a very playful manner. 3 episodes ago, neither of them would have consented to something like that, but after living in with Kukuru for a little while now, their relationship has grown exponentially. Even at the beginning of the episode, Kukuru specifically makes sure Fuuka knows she's involved and wants her help with the touch pulls. This began to draw their worlds just a little bit closer together. Unfortunately, the after credit scene could be what throws all of this into chaos. The scene begins with Fuuka and Kukuru driving down to the aquarium. Once they arrive, they find someone is already waiting outside the doors. I mentioned earlier that last week Fuuka told her mother where she was. Well, turns out, her mother is the one standing at the doors. The look of shock that crosses Fuuka's face when she sees her mother is surprising because honestly she should have expected her mother to arrive at some point. The scowl on her mother's face is bone-chilling. How exactly Fuuka does handle this new obstacle in her life will be very important, especially to how exactly she grows from the experiences she's had, memories she's made, and people she's met. Ganbatte, Fuuka-chan, because you're gonna need it. Needless to say, episode 5 is going to make or break a lot of things. As a quick reminder, I always upload the Aquatope reviews on either Friday or Saturday, so make sure you get caught up before then. And if we hit 1,000 subs by the time or before Anime Expo rolls around next year, I will attend Anime Expo and I will cosplay as Inoue Yuzuriha there, and I will have the whole thing recorded by a certain someone. I'm actually really excited to try this, and I'm really anxious to see if we can hit the 1,000 sub goal or not. I know it's kind of a stretch goal, but it's definitely something that would be out of the ordinary, and I think you guys would probably enjoy it. That's enough out of me, so I will catch you guys later on next week, and I hope you have a great evening. Peace.